Playing sports can be dangerous. The most common injuries that athletes experience are sprains, strains, fractures, and concussions. What many people don't know is that there are other sports out there that can pose even more risk of injury than the ones we're used to playing. Even though these sports may seem like fun or a way to challenge yourself, they could end up causing serious damage if not done properly. In this blog post you will learn about some extreme sports and why they might not be safe for your health. Playing sports can be dangerous. The most common injuries that athletes experience are sprains, strains, fractures, and concussions. What many people don't know is that there are other sports out there that can pose even more risk of injury than the ones we're used to playing. Even though these sports may seem like fun or a way to challenge yourself, they could end up causing serious damage if not done properly. The most dangerous sports in the world are not for the faint of heart. These extreme sports present a huge risk to those who dare to partake, but also bring with them an adrenaline rush that is unlike anything else on Earth. This article will explore some of the most dangerous and exciting sporting events in the world. If you're looking for something new and exciting to do this weekend, look no further. 13. Scuba diving. There are few things on Earth more exhilarating than descending into the deep blue abyss with a tank of air. Scuba diving is an excellent way to explore the beautiful world that lives in darkness and silence underwater. However, this experience can be quite risky for those who aren't properly trained or don't know what they're doing. It is one of the most dangerous sports in the world. Scuba diving can be a great way to explore the world of marine life while also taking in some stunning sights. However, divers should always remember that they're exploring one of the most dangerous environments on Earth and need to take safety precautions into account before plunging into these waters. 12. Jallikattu. Jallikattu is a traditional sport that originated in the southern region of India called Tamil Nadu. The game takes place during harvest season to celebrate prosperity and good luck, typically on January 15th or 16th each year. Participants have their hands tied behind their backs and jump over one another as they try to grab onto a wild bull with just 2 fingers, trying not get tossed off by its ferocious kicks or horns before time runs out. It's more than a challenge for those who are looking at it from afar, but surprisingly few injuries occur due to how fast-paced this event can be. While some participants do come away hurt, most walk away unscathed after successfully completing the challenging task given them. 11. Bull riding. Bull riding is an event that takes place at a rodeo. The rider must stay on the bull for 8 seconds to qualify, but most riders usually try to hang on as long as they can. Bull riding has been deemed one of the world's most dangerous sports by many, and it doesn't take much time getting into this sport before the athletes realize how difficult it is to stay on top of a bull that weighs over 1,000 pounds. In 1989, after Lane Frost, a bull rider who was competing in the National Finals Rodeo, NFR, and had just been gored by a bull that punctured his heart with one of its horns. The death not only shook up the world of rodeos but also prompted legislation to mandate protective vests for all competitors at NFR events. In 1990 there were 3 deaths due to injuries sustained during bucking bronco competitions, which put pressure on legislators around this time period as well, because they realized it wasn't enough to require these safety measures. They needed more, or else people would die from getting hurt while riding animals like bulls and horses. 10. Rugby. Rugby is one of the most dangerous sports in the world because it includes a lot of physical contact and things like tackles. The game involves carrying an oval-shaped ball over 100 yards to gain points, which requires running head-on into other people, and sometimes you have to do that even if they're not playing rugby. It is one of the most dangerous sports in the world. Players in rugby are at a constant risk of injury. Rough tackles and collisions with other players often lead to death, as well as brain damage and dementia. In the past 16 years since 2001 that data has been analyzed, over 17 professional rugby players have died from these injuries, making it 1 out of 4 who will get injured during their season while playing games or practicing drills on the field. One can't watch a football game without seeing one team's key member go off due to this type of injury. 9. Big wave surfing. Big wave surfing is one of the most dangerous sports in the world because it includes exposure to violent water body. When the waves are 20 feet or higher, that means big wave surfing is in play. The thrill of this sport includes paddling into a 100-footer for 100,000 and being towed onto giants with deadly consequences like drowning while getting smashed against underwater rocks. It's not just about avoiding death when you get hit by your board. There can be an impact from boards crashing together as well if it does happen to occur during normal surf conditions on more manageable breakers too. Big wave surfing, BWS, has always been seen as one of the most dangerous sports around because even though they're only at heights between 5 feet - 20, people have died due to injuries sustained in accidents involving hidden underwater rocks and currents smashing them up. 8. Street luge. Street luge is a dangerous sport that requires protective gear and high speeds. The rider lies on their back in order to reach the ground at an extreme pace. It is one of the most dangerous sports in the world. Street lugers are required to wear helmets, leathers, or they will most likely get hit by cars while racing down roads which may not notice them anyway because of their supine position. Most injuries happen when people fall off the sled. It's possible for only your feet as brakes if you're lucky enough to be going slow enough before falling. 7. Base jumping, wingsuit flying. For many, jumping off an airplane with 15,000 feet to go seems too easy. They choose cliffs and man-made objects like towers for a more challenging jump rather than the typical plane ride. Jumping from such heights is not as safe due to little time available to deploy parachutes or deal with any problems that arise on impact. Base stands for buildings, antennas, tower, spans, or bridges, and Earth's natural formations like canyons where people take their jumps of faith. Buildings, antennas, towers, spans, bridges, Earth's natural formations, gorges in particular. The acronym was first created by Carl Bonisch, who developed it into what we know today as base. Base jumping is the most dangerous way to jump out of an airplane. There are actually few casualties in wingsuit flying, as both skydiving and wingsuit jumping has very clear legislation and training around it. However, base jumping is a different story altogether. Base jumps have fatality rates 43 times higher than that of parachuting from a plane. As for now, the 14th of February 2020, there were 383 deaths recorded on the base fatality list since 1981 with 3,037 injuries reported too. 6. Car racing. Racing cars is one of the most dangerous sports in the world. This sport has an incredible casualty rate, and many drivers have lost their lives due to a number of factors including crashes, fires or track hazards that can't be seen until it's too late. It is one of the most dangerous sports in the world. Its trophy is one of the most expensive trophies in the world. The Indianapolis 500 has been held since 1911 and has shaped everything from the culture to the memorabilia associated with racing. But even these races have led to 41 deaths over their history, not including those that occur in other leagues or smaller competitions where fatalities are less likely. In more recent times there have been 40 driver deaths at major racing circuits like Indy for example, though thankfully this is lower than it used to be as safety measures evolved over time. 5. Running of the bulls. Running of the bulls. It is difficult to imagine a more dangerous sport than running with live bulls. The running of the bulls in Pamplona, Spain has an incredible casualty rate, and many drivers have lost their lives due to a number of factors including crashes, fires or track hazards that can't be seen until it's too late. Running of the bulls is the most dangerous sports in the world 2021. The ancient tradition of San Fermin is one that revels in the thrill and danger of running alongside bulls. Participants show off their bravado, not only by jumping into a field filled with these powerful animals but also through music, dancing and markets. The run starts after two rockets are shot from atop enormous towers called torres, which symbolize different events: love, green, or death, red. After this initial signal to begin the race down Pamplona's cobbled streets towards the bull ring at Plaza de Toros La Maestranza, for some young participants it will be an experience they never forget. The festival known as Running of the Bulls takes place on July 6 in Pamplona, Spain. 4. Climbing. The adrenaline-filled activity of mountain climbing is not for the faint-hearted. The climber can receive a range of different injuries, from twisted ankles to broken bones and concussions, depending on whether they are scaling down or up rocky surfaces. Dangerous weather conditions could also be lethal, as one may lose their way easily in these terrains with no other option but to descend, which would mean going downhill, where most accidents happen due to slippery ground that's hard enough just walking uphill, let alone sliding downwards. Mountain climbers must ensure all loose items are secured, because if an item were dropped at any point, it would take hours upon days before someone finally found them again amidst tough terrain and difficult paths. Never mind how dangerous this trip might get, considering there have been. 3. Boxing. Many people think that boxing is one of the most dangerous sports in the world. Boxing can be very, very tough on your body. Boxers have suffered from broken bones and concussions, depending on whether they are scaling down or up rocky surfaces. It is one of the most dangerous sports in the world. The risk of injury when boxing can be minimized with the use of protective gear. When worn, these gloves absorb most blows to a boxer's head, which is often the area that sustains most injuries during matches. With proper protection and training from an experienced coach or trainer, one may decrease their chances for sustaining long-term health problems such as brain damage, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's disease, and other life-threatening illnesses later in adult years due to being hit too hard while sparring at any point throughout childhood or adolescence. 2. Motorbike racing. The most famous motorcycle race is the MotoGP Championship, which takes place on an annual basis and has been running since 1949. It is one of the most dangerous sports in the world. Riding a motorcycle for sport is as insane as driving at over 100 miles per hour in your car. It's much more dangerous because you're wearing only Kevlar and helmet protection, with the possibility of broken bones or third-degree abrasions just being minor injuries when crashing on crotch rockets. Proving to be even more perilous than normal racing, there are no safety rails around corners that riders may take turns too fast and fall off their bike. It's done through narrow paths with hedges, stone walls, homes mere feet away from the road where they average 120 miles per hour. But not always by intention, considering 240 people have died riding motorcycles since its 107 years existence, 48 within 2001. 1. Equestrian. Horseback riding, while a very fun and enjoyable activity, can also lead to serious injury. Fatal injuries are common from accidents that happen with horse riding, causing death or permanent disability. It is one of the most dangerous sports in the world. One of the most well-known causes is getting trampled by an oncoming hoof from the large animal behind you when in close proximity to it, commonly referred to as getting kicked. Other major risks include falling off your mount during competitions like show jumping, which often results in fatal kicks if not properly protected against. Some other lesser-known dangers include leading one's horse into their paddock, where they might be startled and kick out violently without warning, injuring bystanders nearby. It's hard to say which is the most dangerous sport. Some may argue that football or rugby are more violent, but there have been fatalities on both sides of the spectrum, and they don't always involve contact with another player. The riskiest sports can be those in which we assume nothing will go wrong, like skiing, cycling, skydiving, snowboarding, and hiking. Even if you're just doing these activities recreationally this winter season, it's important to take precautions for safety's sake. What do you think? Which games seem to pose a higher risk than others when considering injuries alone?